This here used to be Lover's Lane, because there was trees all over the place. You could get in here and go hide back there. So we listened to music and hang out with the girlfriend. Don't mind if I say that, huh? All right, I was born and raised right here, in the tall grass right here. I guess it represents where all of my ancestors was born and raised and died, and a lot was buried over here as well. So to me, it means a whole bunch.
The land is important to us because it's where our ancestors settled. That's where our family is at. That's where the heart of who we are is. It's a space that we become one with.
The Indians were in the way of the white man. So they always signed treaties for more land, and that's how we got to over here. The government chased us. So we settled over here and was happy, and now Mother Nature is getting us away.
This is my grandparents on my mother's side, my grandmother and my grandfather right there. I was raised here my whole life, yes. Isle Jean Charles has always been a wonderful place to live. The island then actually opened up to the world fully, not until about the early 50s when the road was built. It was very easy to wake up in the morning and see armadillo in the yard, or possum or raccoon, crossing the yard or whatnot. All that has changed because with a lot of it just being water now, the trees have died off. What you're seeing is actually just a skeleton of what it used to be, you know.
To me, it means almost, I guess you could say like a family member having cancer, it's being eaten away. Where it's just a little bit by little bit getting destroyed. The only thing is the piece of land is lasting longer than a human body can. The one right here is the Northfield Canal. There's one that passes here, there's one that passes a little bit further, and there's one that passes in the back. So you're looking at water, or saltwater intrusion coming from the pipeline canals, and they destroy the vegetation that we used to have. But most of the people work for the oil company. They're the one that's putting food and paying rent and mortgages and stuff like that. So as much as you hate them, you have to like them.
Isle Jean Charles is, what's the common saying, the canary in the minefield? We see over here we call it relative sea level rise. You have the global sea level rise, which is slight, but about 80% of the sea level rise here is because it subsided. So we both subsiding, and you have the global sea level rise at the same time. So we are sinking by, I think it's 3 millimeters a year. Doesn't sound like much, but you go in the 40 years, 50 years, then you start to notice differences when you already only slightly above the water, like Ologene Charles.
In the beginning, it was a slow process. It was really not really noticeable. But then whenever the water started coming in even more with it, it got to be more rapid because there had more water coming in and the land didn't stand a chance. So many people on their own did make the decision to go because of the water.
My dad moved off the island, I want to say right before I was born, because he wasn't able to get to work with the road flooding and he needed to work. But I am from the Biloxi Chitimacha Choctaw Band of Ologene Charles. And that's my heritage. That is my daughter's heritage. You know, that's our family legacy.
Get all the people that's gonna be named. Hurry up, a fire gonna go up.
A child was born, everybody went and visited and brought a gift. Now, it's not happening.
Thank you for today's sunrise. Hey, done. You want an Indian name? Your name is Little Fox.
The displacement really made a change in our culture. Now we kind of live like the non-Indians, okay?
The only way these coastal communities will survive into the latter 21st century is to protect ourselves from the Gulf of Mexico. I realize in 300 years, this will probably be all open water. I mean, the sea will take us all over. What I'm trying to do with the levee system, what I'm trying to do is buy ourselves 2 or 3 generations. It's just about impossible to include them into a levee system. It would cost probably $300 million, and it would be nearly impossible because the soil conditions are so bad. To build a flood protection project, you have to have more benefits than cost. One thing that's not factored in the cost, they only look at the cost of the homes, the cost of the businesses, the infrastructure. But I don't know how you put a price on it, but they do not consider the cost of a whole culture.
As displacement keeps happening and we just further separate our community, it'll just get lost. We learned about a National Disaster Resilience Grant competition. So we submitted our plans. We worked to fit with the state's master plan, and they presented it, and it got funded.
Right now, the way relocations typically happen in the United States, we rely on an individual buyout model. And so in other words, someone receives some compensation to go live somewhere else, but in doing so, we do lose that cultural fabric. So we don't really know if we can move people collectively as a group cheaper and more efficiently than individually.
There's very little positive in the form of resettlement of people. You know, governments just don't do it well. We presented a different model, community designed, community driven. I think HUD looked on that and said, let's try it. Let's try a pilot program. See if we can figure out how to do this on a smaller scale so we can change it for, we have so many communities in the U.S. and abroad that's facing these same climate issues. And I think that's why so many people are watching, because it's like, okay, can we really get this right? Because we know how important it is for the future of the world to get it right.
There's a reality there that I don't like, but it's something that I have to face up to. Because you see, I had to go there and make a decision to leave a place that's always been home for 7 or 8 generations. And that wasn't easy to let go of. And in fact, in spite of answering that question a few times, it still doesn't make it easy.
So this is the new preferred site for the island. This is where our community is going to move to. It's a beautiful place. To me, this is new life, new birth, a sustainable place. This is a healthy space.
I feel really good about acquiring this piece of land. You won't hear the road traffic or anything. It'll just be just as quiet as the island.
I look forward to the resettlement. I would sell my home to be in that community in a heartbeat.
So we're hoping, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, our fingers don't cross anymore because it's been displaced too long.
We do understand that it is a historically tribal community, and we also understand that populations have left this particular location over a period of time, and those are folks that, if we're successful in this project, will have an opportunity to reconstitute in the new location. But our primary set of beneficiaries are the people living on the island. We want to pick up the people that are living in this dire scenario and ensure that they live somewhere that is safe now and into the future.
I hope that the tribe would own the land and actually be sort of like a mixed ownership. You know, the folks would have full rights to their land, but at the same time, if they were to go and want to move off of it, it would revert back to the tribe. So that way that land would be forever sacred for the tribe to have.
We've got to walk a pretty fine line by which we're developing something that makes sense for this community, but also could be applicable to a much wider array of communities that may be in a similar situation. We simply don't have a good answer to that question yet.
I find this very empowering. It's allowing us to break down some of those cultural barriers, some of those grief barriers that's been in place from years past, and you didn't even realize it.
If every other hurricane season you're having to replace cars or furniture, you don't have a chance to have savings, and you don't have a chance to allow your kids to have a better next step in life. Starting out in this piece of property, they can have a hope and a way to progress into the future. If I was to portray it on an endangered species list, this is our rebirth, where we can start our new population to get off that endangered species list.